I should point out that this is not a paid for promotion. Goodnature haven't contacted me and asked me to review the product. I've purchased the product and I'm simply producing this review to help others decide whether it is for them or not. And I'll give more feedback once I get down to using it. Rest assured, this is not a paid for promotion. This is simply me giving you my thoughts on the product. Right, today we're going to have a good look at the new A18 squirrel trap from Goodnature. You can see it arrives in a smallish brown box, well smaller than a shoebox. And hats off to them. There's no ridiculous colour photographs on the outside. If you're buying this device, you'll know what it's going to do. There's no need for plastic wrapping and all of that, so hats off to them. So this trap is licensed for destroying squirrels as of 1st of January 2019. Then we've got a quick start guide, which looks to be sensible. I'll do some close-ups of that in a moment, but yeah, that all looks good to me. It looks very simple to use and nice diagrams. It's not bloated with lots of reading. The device is simple and the instructions look equally simple to me. Anyway, I'll look again at those in a moment. What else have we got? Well, there's 3 additional CO2 cylinders, and if I just pop the cap off one of these, you'll see that it's got a screw thread on it. It's essentially a bigger version of a sparklets bulb, if you remember them. Similar sort of thing to what's used for charging air guns, CO2 pistols rather. So I bought 3 extras just to get me ahead of the game. There's 2 supplied in the trap, in the box. First things first, we're going to take it out. This is the counter, and when the trap is assembled, the counter will sit on it, and we'll discuss that in a moment. Each of these canisters should fire the trap 18 times. The beauty of this trap is that it self-resets. So after destroying a squirrel, it resets itself, rearms, and it's ready for the next little critter to come along. The last thing in the packaging is the grey squirrel bait. So this is hazelnut formula, specifically designed obviously to attract squirrels, and that mounts into a little plastic basket in the top of the trap. We'll get the trap out in a second and have a look at it. But there's a good amount in this. I don't know what that is. 200 grams, 250 grams. So there'd be enough to bait it several times from that one pouch. It's a bit like, it's packaged a bit like some of the baby foods that you see available these days. So it is a plastic package, but of course it's got to be kept fresh. So at least it's not an over bloated, heavy plastic bottle or whatever. It's a small pouch at the end of the day. And now the trap itself, and there it is. I'll just get rid of the box for a second. Before I forget, the other things that I did purchase off the website are a couple of signs, just so that I can put them when I put the trap out into the woods. I can put a sign up, symbol for don't touch and do not touch. Obviously, once it's pressurized, it's a bit like having a loaded air gun. So, it is a sensible precaution, I think, to put out some signage. I think I'll be mounting one on the trap itself and one on the tree or post, whatever it's fixed to. So, at this end of the trap is where the CO2 canister screws in. I won't be doing that just now, because of course once you have screwed in the canister, there isn't a safety catch on this device, so you then have to treat it as you would a loaded air gun. If I've taken the cover off that end, and now we should have a removable basket, and we'd squirt from the pouch, we would squirt in some of this Grey Squirrel hazelnut formula, and also put some onto the base of the tree where it's mounted, something to attract the squirrels and get them, they're inquisitive animals, get them to start investigating this device. So having put some bait into that, so squeezing in those two tabs, sliding it off. The screws are already mounted there, that's a neat little trick. So after screwing this onto a tree, we'll mount the device, it'll hook in at the front there first. So having got it mounted onto a tree, we will then arm it by screwing in a canister, which I'm not going to do now. It will then be pressurised. Once the trap is installed and armed, the squirrel will come from underneath up into the base of the trap. If I try and line it up here, looking down now into the trap, you'll see that when the squirrel's put its head in, it'll operate this trigger wire at the bottom, and the bolt will fire from here, and it'll, with some considerable power behind it, it'll crush the skull of the squirrel, which is killed instantly. It's a nice, clean, humane death. So with the trap mounted that way up, after it's fired, the bolt retracts and the squirrel carcass will fall to the floor and will be taken away by scavengers. One other neat little trick that comes with the trap is this device, and this is a digital counter. So this mounts onto the cylinder once it's in place. So it will mount on like so. The idea here is that every time the bolt fires, it's obviously quite a thwack when that fires through to kill the animal, it registers the count on here, so you know how many times the trap has fired. So after you return to it and there's a count of 18, you would know that it is time to replace the cylinder. So if we have a look now, if I simulate the shock of the bolt firing, so it's registering 13, and I'll simulate again for the bolt firing, it's now 14, 15. So you get the idea. Right, here's the booklet that accompanies the A18 trap. Nice little diagram here of the body of the A18 trap, corresponding to it this way round. So there's where the canister goes in, the canister, there's the bolt that destroys the animal, there's the trigger assembly, so, and there's the mount that screws to the tree. And over here there's a quick guide on how the actual device operates. There's the inquisitive squirrel, there's the trap firing, the squirrel being destroyed, falling out of the trap to the ground here. The trap is reset and another squirrel comes along to investigate here. And then finally here's the carcasses being scavenged by birds of prey, foxes, etc. So it gets cleaned up. Over here it's about fixing it to a tree and then pressurising the trap. Of course, from that point on you must be particularly careful with the trap, treat it as you would treat a loaded gun. attach the strike counter that we just had a look at. Press and hold the button there to zero the counter, and so that you'll know how many animals have been destroyed by the trap. You could test fire it, but I think I'll trust them to it for it to actually work. But it shows there without the bait container fitted, the end cover off, you can fire the trigger with a stick. Again, here it's indicating about putting a bit of the bait onto the tree just to get the squirrels interested and encourage them to head into the trap. There's a little bit more information here about just general maintaining your trap, refreshing the what they call the lure, what I would call the bait, and the safety procedures for depressurising it prior to moving the trap if you were to re-site it onto a different tree, a different area of woodland. So that's all I need to say about this grey squirrel trap. It's the A18 trap from Goodnature, and you can find them on www.goodnaturetraps.co.uk, and I'll put a note in the description. Now this trap, the A18, is specifically licensed for grey squirrels in the UK as of 1st of January 2019. It's a slightly beefed up, larger version of a trap that's been successfully used already, the A24 trap, which is licensed for both rats and stoats in the UK. The A24, by the way, for people who are worried, as I was, about unintentional killing of stoats, the bait that you put into the top end here, that they have specific baits for rats, which are chocolate based, and a different bait altogether for stoats, which is meat based, and the stoats show no interest in the chocolate bait. So if you're like me, interested in keeping down the population of rats in the for whatever reason, if they're in your garden or in your woodlands, then using chocolate bait, there's no danger to any stoats are resident. Right, well that's all I need to say about the trap. It looks like it's simplicity itself to operate. It looks rugged and well made to me. I've just got some slight concerns. I'm wondering whether squirrels will actually nibble at the frame of the trap here as they start to investigate it. I don't know at the moment. I'll report back on that after I've been using it for a while. But it does look well designed, well made, and so far I haven't actually used it, obviously. I'll report back when I have, but I've got very good feeling about this trap at the moment. Here we are, about to install the Goodnature A18 trap. Bait we're going to need later. And this is the tree I've selected to mount onto. I want to put it up above hand height for children, so about head height for me. I'll put the top one in first and try and get it fairly square. Okay, that's solid on. Okay, simple as that. A hazelnut formula, they call it toxin-free lure, and I'm going to be putting a few blobs of that out. Just coming out. I don't know how much to put in, there wasn't any guide, so I won't go mad. It's more important probably to get it on the tree. clicks on, you can feel when it's fully on. And now I'm going to pressurise the trap with the CO2 cartridge, and that's going to go into there. There was just a small hiss sound, so I'll hold it now. It should zero. There it is. Right, that's all set to go. The other thing I want to do though is put up a fair warning sign to keep people away from it. This is an intriguing whirl on the tree there. Won't say what it looks like. Leave you to make up your own mind on that one. I think if I mount that there, that's going to be fair warning for anybody. And also got the stick on do not touch sign as well, which I think I'll mount onto the body rather than on the end. I think it will stay on so well there. Now this is one suggestion I would make for to Goodnature, is that these do not touch signs should be included with the device. I think everybody should be putting those on just to avoid any mishaps with children. This is private land, so there should not be intruders on this land. But even so, I would suggest do not touch signs should be on both sides of the trap. I'll get one more of those, and another bold sign nearby. Makes it very clear to anybody who is curious that the device is not to be messed with. Okay, so the trap's on the tree. We've put a few dots of bait around. I also brought out a bit of seed with me as well to just get squirrels interested in this area again. I have had a feeder here last year. I know that squirrels come through this woodland, this strip of woodland here, regularly, so I'm confident that they'll soon find this little offering and come to investigate. Right, nothing more to be done. The walkway to the trap is set. Some blobs of lure on there, seed on the ground. Not much more I can do, I don't think, to entice them. Of course, it's not a good time of the year. The weather's now cold. It's getting down to freezing in the evenings, or overnight rather. But we'll see. There are still grey squirrels around. Now, this trap was around £160-ish, something in that order. By the time you've added a few sparklets, bulbs and the do not touch signs, you're into the 180 type mark. So as traps go, it's not a cheap trap, but the plus sides of course are that it's an automatic trap, that it resets itself, so it needs very little in terms of ongoing maintenance. It's humane. It looks to be the perfect solution. Let's see how we get on with them. Right, there's nothing more for me to do now but await developments. The trap's set, and fingers crossed, let's see if the squirrels find it and start to investigate. To sum up then, this is a well-made product, I have no doubt about that. The cost is high compared to conventional spring traps, But this does have the advantage that you do not have to reset it. It self-resets. So it can sit there silently, just awaiting squirrel after squirrel, and can destroy up to 18 squirrels before you need to replenish the CO2 cylinder. I will be visiting it regularly though, pressing the counter button to see what the count's on and whether I've had any action. I expect that in this situation scavengers are going to very readily carry away the carcasses, so I don't expect to find carcasses here. When I shoot squirrels and put them out, they disappear the same day, so I wouldn't think any carcasses will be hanging around for long. So far I'll give it the thumbs up, but I'll be making a follow-up to this video to let you know how I get on over the coming weeks and months. As we go into spring, I'd expect the squirrel activity to increase again, and so the trap will come into its own at that point. Anyway, let's see what happens. I'll leave the trap here for several weeks at least.